Hello and welcome to this. It's nighttime. This taste challenge. I have two 40% alcohol Canadian blended whiskeys. One of them is pretty well known. The other one is obscure. This is Forty Creek Barrel Select Premium Barrel Select. This is the older label. Right after I bought this, it came out with a new label. Now they call it Niagara Whiskey. Introduced in the year 2000. It was an independent company, but as you know, they tend to get bought out, and it was bought by Campari of Italy. So it's produced by Campari Canada, like a subsidiary or operation of Campari. Yeah, I've seen some of the variants of it in store. The 40 Creek, the regular standard one, runs about $19.99. I see that at most liquor outlets, yes. Well, not convenience stores or gas stations, which do sell liquor in Louisiana. Many of them. Some choose not to. It's up to the store. But I found this at Walmart years ago, and they had it on closeout. They didn't want to carry it anymore, and they sold it for $9 even. So I bought a bottle. I'm glad it's got brown glass that protects it from the light. I think the new bottles went to clear, which I don't think is a good idea, but it probably doesn't matter ultimately too much. Beer is more of a problem because of the hops getting light damage. Wooden cap on this Tennessee Crown Club, introduced in 2013. It's from Select Club. You might recognize those bottles. Select Club does a lot of flavored whiskey. That's their main thing. They do sell unflavored, just regular Canadian whiskeys like this. But in Texas Crown Club, which I have seen many places, never bought it. Didn't want to pay the $25. This normal price is about $25 from what I can tell, but I paid $7.99. There was a store on the West Bank in Jefferson Parish. It might have been Orleans Parish. If it was the Rouse's on Berman Highway, Louisiana Highway 428, that would have been New Orleans. Algiers, that's the part of New Orleans in the West Bank. Actually part of the city that did not get damaged much at all by Hurricane Katrina. And in fact, did not even lose electricity or phone service or water. But I think that's where they had it. Yeah. And it was $7.99. It might have been at another store, but it was somewhere over there on the West Bank. I don't recall, but I thought $7.99. I know that's not the normal price, and assuredly it's not. To get it for $15 cheaper, or $17 cheaper. But I think it was a situation where it was supposed to be sent to Tennessee, because it's probably marketed toward Tennessee because it's not made there. It's not bottled in Tennessee. It's just marketed. And it wound up in the wrong state. And I've seen that happen before, shipping mistakes. And they probably just told the store, just keep it. It's not even going to make sense to ship it back because it's going to probably cost too much, and then you don't make any money. So I have seen that experience where stores, they tell them just keep it. And they did. And they sold it for $7.99, or maybe it was a special offer they made for them. I don't know the answer. I'm simply speculating. The 40 Creek Niagara whiskey is copper. The Tennessee Crown Club is amber gold, much lighter. Neither one of these claim to have flavoring added. I'll show you the website for 40 Creek. There's no website for the Tennessee Crown Club. Barrel Select. Every whiskey, it's funny though, whiskey's barrel select. They have to select barrels. They age whiskey and they pick the ones they want and they blend it and they sell it. So that's kind of a funny little way of putting it. But it's their first whiskey that they ever sold, and it's their flagship. Now, 2 bottles are clear, like I was saying. And it's an updated label. I don't understand that. They use rye, barley, and corn. probably mostly corn. And it's seasoned, meaning aged, in ex-bourbon barrels and new American white oak. Now, is all of it put in bourbon, in American white oak, new oak barrels, or is it part of the whiskey aged in the bourbon barrels and another piece aged in the new white, and then they blend it? I don't specify all of that. There's people going a highball with it, common practice. Then there's all the tasting notes, served neat or over ice. I'm not going through all that because you could read that on your own. That's why I put the link. And then they show all the variants, even a cream liqueur. So, yeah, not the biggest Canadian whiskey brand, but it's big. It's like obviously Crown Royal or Canadian Club or Canadian Mist, which is like the big heavy hitters. But it's out there. It's known. This one is out there, and it's basically unknown. I guarantee I never heard of it until I saw it on the shelf at the store, and I was like, what in the world is this thing? I recognized the bottle. So as soon as I saw that bottle design, I knew it's a Select Club product. But beyond that, I didn't know anything. But the bottle gives a lot of good information. All the information I put down there is from the bottle. And I wish all liquor companies would do that. Put all the good information on the bottle. This one's embossed. It's got 40 Creek embossed on the bottle. Ontario, Canada. I have been to that province, Ontario. Multiple gold medal winner. Imported by Campari America in San Francisco, California, of all places. That's where their headquarters is. I mean, they're probably importing across the bridge into Detroit or something. All right. I have enough for probably one, maybe two more taste challenges. And with Select Club, I'm not going to make it. I can see I'm not going to make it to get through all the Canadian whiskeys. See, I'm at the point now where I have so many Canadian whiskeys that if I get a new bottle and try to challenge it against all the rest, that it doesn't make it through. I run out. So I'm going to try to use it I'm going to try to compete this against like the better ones I have. 40 Creek, Crown Royal XO, Crown Royal Bourbon Mash, later known as Blender's Mash, stuff like that. Because I'm not going to make it, I'm not going to have enough for the Caliber or the Grand Legacy. That doesn't matter because those are not going to be a challenge because they're so similar one to another. They got that Sazerac and Canadian whiskey flavor, so I knew I'd get it right. I mean, I assume I would. All right, let's go with the aroma. I have to close my eyes because if I glance down and I see that dark copper, I'm going to automatically know it's the 40 Creek. And to me, 40 Creek tastes like pancake syrup. Smell like grain. Now they're showing the rules of Canadian whiskey on the 40 Creek website, but I think they're showing the old rules where it could only be 9.09% flavoring and all that. If you read the updated rules of Canada, they just make new laws, but it doesn't mention any limit. No, it just says has to use natural flavors and be produced from grain or grain products, which that caught my eye. I said grain products like corn syrup. They didn't specify. That's 40 Creek. I'm telling you now, I don't have to taste it. This is 40 Creek with that oak, and maybe that pancake syrup aroma. Now, you say pancake syrup, would that be a natural flavor? Well, if all the components of the syrup come from nature, I guess that would be. Okay. Got it. So a challenge and name only. I got it on aroma. Let's go with the taste just for it, for what the heck, Yeah. Tastes like corn, rye. Get a little rye spice. I think the bourbon barrels is so common for Canadian whiskey to age it in ex-bourbon barrels that it doesn't It does not a distinctive factor. Now the sherry cask, I do believe, is a factor. So I think a little bit of that sherry finish gives it that little dessert wine tweak. And I did read the U.S. government. There was some very complicated government regulations I was reading the other day. I mean, it's so detailed, it was like couldn't hardly understand it. But it was saying that blending sherry, which is used in a lot of these blended whiskeys, to, they said, smooth out the flavor, or no, what did they say? To ensure batch consistency. I don't know how that would work. I guess make the flavor the same. But they said that's not considered a drinkable sherry, a drinkable wine. In other words, you couldn't sell it on its own as something for people to drink. But as a blending agent, it's allowed. It's like cooking sherry is not considered a drinkable product. It's only used for cooking. And they cannot sell it as a beverage. Huh? I guess they know what they're talking about. I've certainly never been in a store and seen anything called blending sherry, because it's probably only sold to industry. Forty Creek is good. There's a lot of wood. They're both medium, both of these medium bodied, light to medium bodied, near the dry finish. But funny thing, the 40 Creek, no, I don't know, man. It's kind of, to me, this is me, a little too much of that pancake syrup flavor. Like if they were using a blend of corn syrup and maple syrup, which a lot of them do, like it'll be like a small percentage of maple syrup because that's expensive, and a lot of corn syrup, which is sweet. I don't know if I really like the flavor. Now, if I was eating waffles or pancakes, I might like that flavor on a waffle, which is what I ate this morning with pancake syrup, pancake/waffle syrup. With real butter, not margarine. It tasted good. Now, this, I don't know. I think it's the kind of whiskey that the more you drink of it, the less you like it. It's just too, yeah, it's too much of what I just said, pancake syrup flavor. And I know that's not correct. The company would probably be shaking their head like, that's not what we use. Well, do you flavor it? Oh, well, we're not going to go into that. Oh, okay. Now, if you ask a company a question like that, do you put flavoring in your product? And they do not answer the question, try to skirt the issue or dodge the question, then you have your answer. You don't have to press them on it because you'll know. Because if they did not have flavoring, they would just very clearly say, no, we don't do it. But if they start dancing around the issue, then you got your answer. It's like in the 1950s, the Congress would ask these people, are you now or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party? How dare you ask me a question like that? Sir, 7 years ago, our nation was founded on our forefathers did all of these things. And it's like, well, we didn't ask you for a speech on the Constitution. The downtrodden, and this land is my land, and this land is your land. And look, Mr. Geld, we ask you a simple question. Are you now, or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party? You should be ashamed, sir. You should be ashamed. It's like, okay, we got the answer, so thank you. You're dismissed. That's how that would work, and then people said they're red baiting. They're hunting reds under the bed. Well, who's saying that? Oh, just the Center for International Progress, the Socialist Workers Party, and the ACLU, and the International Workers of the World. So, oh, yeah, well, yeah. Okay, Arnold Hopkins says, good morning, Ron, good points. Oh, thank you. So you could write emails to the companies and you could ask them questions about their product. But if they dance around the issue, you have your answer, I think for my palate, and everybody has different, some of these beer reviewers and whiskey reviews seem aloof to that fact that people have different preferences because they're very myopic. Like they only can think along what they like. And I watched them, and they'll say, well, if you don't like IPAs, you're just stupid and you have no taste for beer. It's like, no, that's not the way to run a channel, to attack your viewers because they have preferences. That's really not the right approach. Or they'll say, on the other hand, they'll say, well, I don't like this beer because it's too bitter and I don't like IPAs, so I'm going to give it a C minus. You know, that's you because you don't like the product. You're going to rate it bad because it's within the style. Okay, now I know that's a bad example because the IPA style has gone totally off the rails. So I'm not saying this is a bad product. You shouldn't buy it because I don't like that heavy to what tastes like meat to me, like pancake syrup. But on the other hand, I do think that if over the years it just my appreciation of it has dropped, I think that could indicate something with it. That's not the best. Now, Tennessee Crown Club is more like a regular whiskey flavor to me, you know, like a quality whiskey. I think it does deserve an A. My friend David definitely did not agree, but that was his opinion. I didn't ask him to do a dual review so he could automatically agree with me. And we've gotten in conflicts on videos. Some people think that's like an act. Like, that's a good shtick. I said, that's no shtick, because that's common that we argue about stuff. But he would say, oh, I don't like this stuff. Now, I might respond like, what? I can't believe it. Now, that's not saying his review is wrong or that he's incorrect. I'm just saying, I can't believe it. I thought he would love it. You know, I just can't. In my thinking, you know, like, I think this beer is great. I can't understand why you didn't like it. But if you don't like it, fine. You know, if you think it's inferior in some ways, that's he didn't care for the early times. He gave it a C plus. So it was like high average. Fair enough. I don't even remember much about early times because I only had a small. No, I think I did have a full size bottle. I didn't pay much. It was like $8.99 years ago. But you know, it wasn't anything amazing. On the other hand, they do make a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey there, 100 proof bottle and bond. I've never tried it. Couldn't comment on it. Do I plan to review the early times? Yes, I've got the old bottle from 1996 that he had, which was an awesome deal. Can't lie. I can't dispute that. And I got the current version, and I found a liter of that for an awesome deal. So it was like two home runs on the early times. And let's be honest, 4 home runs. Early times, a liter bottle for $9.99. Amazing. Early times, 1996, the old edition from Brown-Forman before they sold off the whole thing. $10.99 for a liter. $9 even for the liter of the current version. If I said another price, I was wrong. $9, $10.99. I found the 40 Creek for $9 even at Walmart. Right now, Walmart has Ezra Brooks Bourbon Cream for $9.50. And when it first hit the market, they were trying to sell it for $32.99. That's what Ezra Brooks wanted them to sell it for. We want this sold as a premium. I bet you people weren't buying it. Now it's $9.50. I said, oh yeah, that was a failure. Good product. I loved it, but I'm not paying the $32. I was glad when I got it for $13. See, then all of a sudden it dropped to $13, like inexplicably. And now it's $9.50. I said, they're just trying to get rid of it. But right now at Walmart, they've got 10 high, and I'm talking about a handle, the big boy bottle. $13 even, and it says on the tag closeout. I said, that thing has slowed down. Used to be a good seller, but something happened because people got sick of it. And now I'm gonna wait. I don't want it. I have a whole bottle. I have a little bit left. But if they dropped it to like Walmart tends to do for $5, they just want it out. Look, once they put closeout, and I didn't see any bottles sold for $13. If they put a closeout price and it doesn't move, they will sell it for $5 just to get the bottles out the store. Now it'll be gone in one day for that price. They'll put a big bright yellow tag, $5. It'll all sell out. But I really don't want to buy it because I've experienced that product and it's like, okay, I know what it tastes like. It's not bad. I've seen video reviews and the people usually admit it's really not bad. It's not amazing by any stretch. So just telling you, you might want to check Walmart.com and see, because when they unload something, they just go wild. I got the Clan McGregor for $5 a bottle. $5. Walmart decided we're not selling those glass bottles anymore, the 750s. We're only going to handles for Clan McGregor. Okay. They have it in stock, always there. But they decided they're going to sell it for $5. I bought 2 bottles. $5. Bought 2 bottles. Which I always like that product. I don't get tired of it. It's kind of like a little bit, like a tiny bit of smoke, a little bit of peat, but like really tiny, but it's there. Jason Whitcomb says, good morning, Ron. Happy Saturday to all watching. Yes, college football Saturday. This is why I never chase the hype for new products, says Arnold, often overpriced. Oh, man. They come out and it's a big splash and the price is sky high. And I'm like you, I'll wait for the hype to end. And then you can often find good prices. The Crown Royal Blackberry, it would sell out in one day. But I went for it. I fell for it. I bought the full-size bottle, $24.99, and it was bland. Didn't taste bad. It's just bland. I thought, it's not much to it. But I didn't hate it, obviously. Hey, Ron, now in my area, I'm only finding the AB contracted PBR. Can't find a city brewing around my parts anymore, and I'm fine with that. Yeah, me too. I think it's all AB, InBev, Anheuser-Busch, Pabst Blue Ribbon now. Now, you might live in another state, and you only get city brewing. I think they send different ones to different states. If you live in a state where you only get city brewing, Pabst Blue Ribbon, I'm sorry about that. If you live in Louisiana where you get I found the Anheuser-Busch Colt 45. Boy, talk about improvement. They really improved that. And the Anheuser-Busch Pabst Blue Ribbon, it's a winner. Now, I'm waiting for the Schlitz. I asked the store manager yesterday, why y'all don't carry Schlitz? What do you mean? We have it. I said, no, it's not on the shelf. It's not? I said, no. Well, I'm going to check on that. He probably never will. But I did find it very strange because they used to always have 12 packs of Schlitz. Always. They were from La Crosse, Wisconsin. They weren't really very good. It tastes like a premium beer now. It does. And the Colt 45 tastes like a premium beer. Well, PBR hasn't been PBR for a long time, let's be honest. The age-old yeast flavor has been shelved. Yeah, that was back in the 90s before Pabst started letting Miller Brewing do their beer. I like the Miller Brewing version. I did like it. But it wasn't really the old 90s Pabst, which was a kind of a funky flavor that I think that's why it went out of popularity. People didn't like it. I liked it. It's kind of old-timey, like Falstaff beer. But I think a lot of younger people, they say, oh, too yeasty, too like a grandpa beer. And well, I really liked the Falstaff, but of course it's gone. I can't wait for the Schlitz. That's going to be great, I'm guessing. Yeah, if we ever see it. My dad used to have Schlitz. Go for the gusto. Yeah, no, Schlitz went through a lot of chaos. They changed the recipe many times. Many times. They had tanked with a bad recipe that was making gunk in the beer. They listened to some young scientists about, oh yeah, it's an expedited brewing process. You add this chemical to it, and it'll really ferment fast. You don't have to wait 28 days and lager it. And it worked. Oh yeah, it tastes just like regular Schlitz. It's worked. But they didn't realize that, but they kept adding more to it, make it faster. And it started making like a solid in there, like a slime in the beer. Customers started writing letters. You had to write a letter back then. You couldn't, or call, you couldn't make an email. What? So then they said, oh Lord, this is 1976. Oh no. Schlitz was the second best-selling beer in the United States at that point, 49 years ago. They dumped 500,000 gallons of it down the drain in Tampa, Florida at their new Schlitz brewery. Oh, of course, all kind of people got fired. And they brought in a new brewmaster retired from Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch. This guy, I think his name was Seligman. He said, okay, enough's enough. You hiring me? We doing it right. None of this funny stuff. They said, okay, well, we dying now, so PR disaster. So he went in there, revamped it, made a good Schlitz beer, and he was like, try my Schlitz beer. It's good. I saw the ads on the old television ads. Guess that was around 1977, but it was too late. People just said, and they walked on to something else. And Schlitz just kept going down, 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 down. They tried to make a comeback sponsoring the Who's 1982 Rock America tour. They sponsored Fleetwood Mac's tour, 1982, Mirage tour, Schlitz Light. But it was too late. It was just like, nah. They just sold their whole company to Stroh's Brewing, who never had enough money to keep it going. And either they could barely stay in business. So the whole thing was a fiasco. But that 1977 to 2011 Schlitz, I liked it. Wasn't anything, amazing. But it was good. And I used to be able to get a suitcase of it, 24 cans, suitcase, for $7.98. But even when I was buying it at that time, 1997, I'm thinking to myself, boy, they've really fallen off the top shelf, because you would never find it discounted like that in the 70s when Schlitz was one of the big ones. But I said, oh well, I don't know what happened. You would see Schlitz Light in the suitcase, and it was a very good light beer, just as good as Bud Light and all that. But it just went down. And then they tried to reformulate the recipe around 2007, bring in this old time Schlitz, which they didn't even have their recipe from the 60s. They lost it. The recipe before they started adding the gunk, the chemical. They couldn't find the recipe. I was like, wow, that company must have been horrendously mismanaged. It was family owned, but it doesn't mean anything. You have a recipe for one of the most popular beers in America at the time, and you lose the recipe. That should tell you right there why they went out of business. Right there is a clear example of why something went wrong. But the new Schlitz, I can't comment. Now the one from City Brewing, I thought it really dropped off. I was like, oh no, this is a wreck. I couldn't get behind that one. And we'll see what happens with the Anheuser-Busch version. Probably be a lot better, but I can't say because I never had it yet, if ever. All right. I'm waiting for the return of Old Milwaukee. Yeah, me too. I saw Old Milwaukee at a store in Kenner, Louisiana. The shelf was packed, but I thought it was too packed. I thought that's a little bit too much beer. And I looked at the date, 2024. I stuck it right back in there. I said, it's not moving. And of course, it was the City Brewing Old Milwaukee, which people probably hated. But I'm going to go back there one day, hopefully before this year is up, and see if they got the new, because all you got to do is see it say St. Louis, Missouri on it, and see if they got that, and I'll buy it, of course. Schlitz was a premium, right? Yes, that's correct. The number 2 after Budweiser, that's right. In 1976, Budweiser was number 1, Schlitz was number 2, and Miller High Life was number 3, and then Miller took the place. Yeah, then Miller took the second place. And then Coors was coming up, catching up with everybody by that time. The losing of the recipe, complete. Yeah, there was something else transpiring. It's something, insanity is what it was. All right, we all take care. And the history is a lot of times more interesting than the actual product. And we'll see what happens tomorrow on another Whiskey Taste Challenge.